So the NBA trade deadline has concluded, and boy did some things happen. I slept through all of it, and then I just woke up and read Woj's timeline, and my god, it just got deeper by the moment. So, I think the best bet is for this video to be dedicated to the Cleveland Cavaliers and all the moves they made, because they made quite a few of them, with a lot of roster turnover, and then I'll do a separate video talking about everything else. But let's talk about the Cavaliers. So, they basically turned Iman Shumpert, Jay Crowder, Isaiah Thomas, Dwayne Wade, Channing Frye, and Derrick Rose into George Hill, Jordan Clarkson, Larry Nance, Rodney Hood. I know a first rounder, their first, went to the Lakers, and then some other seconds shuffled around as well. This is a lot to take in. Now, from a salary standpoint, I'm pretty sure this actually adds salary to the Cavaliers' books, which is like, I mean, you're trying to save your season at this point, right? You're trying to convince LeBron James to stay. And I do think, I've seen people on Twitter be a kind of very, like, quick to say, oh, they could, trade LeBron or just build for the future. Here's the thing. We've seen the Cavaliers without LeBron James. It was pretty ugly, okay? Like, when LeBron James is gone, he's gone, okay? And that means, number one, you're immediately awful. Number two, all the extra money that comes with LeBron James is now gone. That means you're not selling out your arena, you're not selling merchandise, you're not selling out on the road, because I'm pretty sure you still get a cut of that. You're not on national TV. You're not going deep into the playoffs. You're not getting as many people to watch your game. You lose a lot of money when LeBron James is gone. So I totally understand why the Cavaliers would do this. And I should credit them. They did not trade the Brooklyn pick. They might have traded their own pick, but if that pick is still there, which could be around number 10 or whatever, then that's an accomplishment, if you ask me. Now, if we talk about just this move, did they get better with this move? Yes, they got better. Because if you look at the guys they traded, you could argue that the only guy that they lost in this move who actually was a positive for them this year was Dwayne Wade, because he was making some plays off the bench. He was really good with Kyle Korver. I mean, Shumpert wasn't playing much. Jay Crowder was a disappointment. Isaiah was terrible. Derrick Rose fell out of the rotation, and Channing Frye, a backup five that just started playing lately? So, yeah, totally cool with all that. By the way, the whole Dwayne Wade going to Miami thing, that was kind of interesting and out of nowhere. I have to assume that was because, number one, there's been some stories lately about how Dwayne Wade has been kind of a problem in the locker room. I mean, people were saying, the same thing in Chicago last year, and now it's this year, and I know he's best friends with LeBron, so hopefully that doesn't make LeBron mad, but we'll see what happens there. But I think another reason to do that was just because your team is really like a lot younger and more athletic now, and you're kind of, besides just getting a new roster, you're also getting a new culture change, because with Larry Nance, Rodney Hood, these guys, they're younger, and they're probably a little more hungry. Rodney Hood's playing for a contract, of course. So, a culture change and all that. Now if we can get to the actual basketball stuff. Does George Hill start at point guard, or does Jordan Clarkson? Well, I think Clarkson can probably do more stuff off the dribble. This is one thing I've been consistent with Jordan Clarkson. At least I'd like to think I've been consistent with. While I've always said I've never been the biggest fan of his because, not a very good three-point shooter, not a very good playmaker, needs the ball in his hands, but he's kind of like, maybe you don't really love giving him the ball. However, with the Lakers, I think his offensive responsibility was a little too high for how good he actually is. Because there'd be times where he'd be like the one dude who can create offense, right? On the Cavaliers, if he's playing with sometimes LeBron or just having a lot of shooters out there, suddenly I think Clarkson can have an easier time just getting himself some open shots. Other guys are just going to be open sometimes, and as a result, you can hit them for passes, and I think Clarkson can be a little better. I do think he can also get some more off-ball opportunities on this team, get himself some more open three-pointers. So I would like to think that Clarkson's efficiency can improve here. And if LeBron leaves, I mean, you have like a 25, 26-year-old point guard who, I mean, he's something. at least. Maybe you could move him afterwards, if LeBron still decides to leave. So I'm okay with the Clarkson part of it. George Hill is interesting. What is George Hill at this point? Was he just not caring in Sacramento, or is his injury combined with age to the point where he's just not what he once was, because he's already a lower usage kind of guy. And if you are that sort of player, but then you're also like hurt, there's a fine line between being someone who can play off ball and like pick your spots and then being like stuck in quicksand, right? Hopefully George Hill's not stuck in quicksand and he can still do some work off the pick and roll, and he can attack closeouts and do some stuff in transition. And then hopefully he can still be a defender, because George Hill at his peak was one of the better defensive players in the NBA. And I think if we're getting that George Hill, then he would be a great fit next to LeBron James for pretty obvious reasons, right? And for that, I would probably start him over Clarkson. But if we're going to get this new George Hill, who was, not as good in Sacramento because he really just isn't that good anymore, well, then we got a problem, and Jordan Clarkson starts over him. I think we're going to find that out pretty quickly, I would like to think. Now if we get to Larry Nance, he's a role player, man. Simple as that. I think the Cavaliers needed role players. They needed guys who just don't really care about scoring, or maybe don't even care so much if like, oh, I'm not starting over this guy, like what the hell. So with Nance, you just have a guy who he'll just come in, set screens, play hard, grab offensive rebounds, dunk on someone's head, dive on the floor if you need him to, make the right basketball play, and he's totally content with finishing with like 4 points. Now, do I think you can play him at power forward? Probably not. I think him and Tristan Thompson together might be a little too rough on spacing because neither one of them can really shoot, and I think Nance has some ball handling ability, but it's really not too much either. And then Thompson doesn't have any of that, of course. So with the small ball 4, you probably go to like Jeff Green or maybe Chetty Osman. Between the two of them, I would say Green is... he's been actually pretty decent this year for the Cavaliers after he was really bad in Orlando. Maybe him just because he's more athletic than Osman. Osman is similar to Larry Nance, because he's also content with just finishing with like 4 points if he needs to, and he'll play hard for you. Neither one of them can really knock down from outside, which, you'd like a guy who can shoot threes at the 4. Maybe you slide Kyle Korver over there occasionally. I have to think LeBron doesn't really play power forward too much. But, just having one of those guys in there I think is cool, because I think you can survive with, like, George Hill, J.R. Smith, LeBron, we'll just say Jeff Green, and then Tristan Thompson, because you have 3 guys who can hit from outside. LeBron mainly being the ball handler, but he can shoot threes. And then I would like to think Green, if you leave him open, can at least go off the dribble and do something. And then you have Thompson, who, he's not going to shoot, but, you need one rim protector, and, well, he doesn't really protect the rim anymore, but you need one center who can just do stuff around the basket. So I think that works. This is all, of course, until Kevin Love comes back, and then when he returns, it'll be interesting to see if they ever try Nance with Kevin Love. Maybe Nance could play the 4 in that situation, because then Love could just be spreading the floor. I don't know. That would definitely be a lineup that could get some offensive rebounds, and you could still have Nance's energy. Who knows? We'll just have to see. We got to talk about Rodney Hood now, who, funny enough, you could say is probably the best player in this entire thing. Rodney Hood is very interesting here, because ever since Kyrie Irving was moved, the Cavaliers have not had another perimeter player who could really create their own offense next to LeBron. So it was either LeBron do his thing, get other guys involved, mainly shooters, pick and rolls, or throw the ball to Kevin Love, and Love being the one other guy who can do stuff. Rodney Hood is the closest thing to Kyrie Irving. He is, of course, not Kyrie Irving. The thing that's going to be interesting is Hood going to be able to do his stuff, which is creating offense for himself, pick and rolls, going one-on-one, getting the ball in transition, pull-up jumpers. He operates out of the mid-range a lot, sometimes a little to his detriment. are they going to be able to acclimate that in an efficient way? Because Isaiah Thomas was basically that guy when he came back. He just couldn't make anything to save his life. He also wasn't very good on defense. Rodney Hood can be better on defense, and sure, he's not going to have the expectations of Isaiah to put up like 20 plus a game, but I think Rodney Hood can give you a solid 16, 17 points a game through just doing Rodney Hood things, which is looking for his own offense. And I do think, because there's a lot of shooters here now, defense is going to have to close out on him and then close in on him, and you can kick it out to shooters in the corner and stuff. I do think he can definitely play next to LeBron James. I kind of think that Rodney is going to get a little antsy if he doesn't get the ball in his hands after a few possessions, but I think Ty Lue is just going to have to manage that, and hopefully he can manage that. I mean, I got to assume Ty Lue can do some things right in terms of like actual X's and O's, you know? Yeah, I think all 4 guys that they acquired have the potential to really provide some positive basketball, but I am a little concerned at the same time. You know, like with Jordan Clarkson, first off, I know that someone could say, well, can't Clarkson create his own offense? Yes, he can't do it like Rodney Hood. I think Hood's just flat out better than Clarkson when it comes to beating guys off the bounce, just making shots sometimes as well. You could argue Clarkson's a better passer. That's fair. But, you know, for the scoring, I would pick Rodney Hood. But anyway, if I get back to Clarkson, I mean, maybe I'm wrong and he's just not that efficient of a player. And he's not going to get better with Cleveland. I think he is going to be better, but I guess there's a shred of possibility that he's just the same guy who's not really great at anything, but his usage rate is pretty high. Maybe George Hill just really is this reduced version of himself. Maybe Larry Nance Jr.'s lack of shooting will just hurt too much. I don't think so, because he's probably going to play the center position. And then maybe Rodney Hood being a shot-happy guy just isn't going to totally click. I'm just looking at it from both perspectives. I think it's going to go well. I think it's actually going to go pretty damn well, to the point where I think the Cavaliers put themselves back into the... Well, they were never really out of the conversation, but there was definitely like a 5-minute window there where we were all like, I think the Cavs might not make the finals. I think this is the type of move that puts you back into the NBA Finals if you're the Cavaliers, because you have a lot more creating ability. You have younger dudes who aren't going to just like pout and moan because things aren't going well. You also got better on defense, you know, because if George Hill can be a defender, Rodney Hood's younger, you got more athletic with this move as well. I like the move, man. I think from a basketball standpoint, it does a lot of good things for the Cavaliers. And because you didn't trade the Brooklyn pick, if this doesn't work and LeBron is like, well, screw y'all, I'm out, still got the Brooklyn pick, and you got Rodney Hood who can, you know, come back and actually be something for you. So, yeah, it's a good move. I like it. So that's going to do it. The Cavaliers, I approve, and then I will be back maybe later, maybe tomorrow. I don't know what I'm going to do. But then I'm going to talk about everything else. The Elfrid Payton trade, the Lakers going all in on salary cap, and Moutier to the Knicks and all those things. So, yeah, trade deadline. Good stuff.